Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Hopefully that sounds okay. All right. Transition. Hey everybody, Arnaldo Offerman here of Gear It First. And somebody said the audio is not good, of course. It would not be a day if the audio didn't already come out sounding like crap, right? Let me know if that's a little bit better. So, anyhow, thank you all so much for tuning in. I know it's been a while since I've been doing a live stream. I have been absolutely slammed with prom season. It's been borderline crazy. And actually, before we get started, let me just kind of tune the audio here because it was sounding great before. And Kagas said it sounds like crap. So, holy crap, that's awful. Check 1 2. All right, hopefully that's a little better. Let's see. Check 1 2. All right. It sounds like a tin can, huh? Check 1 2. Check 1 2. All right, let's try this now. Hang on. And okay, I think I know what's going on here. Bear with me for just a moment. Man, it would not be a damn live stream if my freaking... Hold on. All right. Stay with me for just a moment real quick while I fix this. So let me come right back to y'all in just a moment. Stand by. One of these days, I'm going to have a live stream where there isn't some ridiculous mess of crap that happens the last minute, and now it says that it is streaming better. So let me know how the sound is, and it looks like we're pretty good. Yeah, there's the music playing. My goodness, that is like the longest introduction ever. All right, so while I wait, my name is Arnaldo Hoffman of Gear It First. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today I wanted to basically just talk to you a little bit about Compushow and what's going on with the whole system. Oh, there it goes. Let's see if it sounds okay. Yay, I sound better. Okay, so Compushow. Basically, as you know, Elation used to stream distribute Compushow, and that has changed quite a bit now that ADJ is officially distributing it. So the real questions are, why did this happen? And the move is really obvious to some of you guys. What does this mean for Compushow? What does this mean for MyDMX? And most importantly, what does this mean for the users? So I have some good news and I have some bad news. Now let's start with the good news. And the good news is, or the bad news actually, I don't work for ADJ. So none of the answers are technically official. I have worked on, when I do my videos, I'm not doing my videos for ADJ. I try to be unbiased as a reviewer, but I have worked with ADJ as I guess, a brand ambassador, if you will, whenever I do their seminars, because, well, they sponsor my seminars. So, of course, I talk about product that I use, which happens to coincidentally be ADJ product. Or you may have seen me at Moldbeat pitching their products and all that, but I'm not an ADJ employee. However, the good news is because I'm not an ADJ employee, I can pretty much tell you things without getting fired. Yay! The other thing is that in reality, when it comes to Compushow, I'll be honest with you. I know it may sound like, ooh, I'm blowing my own horn, but nobody knows the software better than I do. Maybe except for James and the developer, and that's about it. Uh, I not only live and breathe the software because I use it all the time, but I also happen to help everybody else with it. You know, I do all the tutorials and everything else. Now, because of that, ADJ has taken notice, and they've always been real kind and, letting me do things that normally most people in this position don't get to do. I'll give you an example. ADJ was always real careful about releasing beta releases, and like myself and James kept pushing, hey, we should do a beta release, let people test it out. And finally they caved in and said, all right, let's do it. And we've been able to, I formed this unofficial group, the Compushow user group. The link is one of the first ones in the chat, and it's blown up since. Now it's not just production companies or churches or nightclubs using Compushow, but it's multiple entertainment companies, DJs. So I want to talk to you first about what happened that caused a transition. Elation was doing great with Compushow. They were. But now that they are distributing the Martin MPC, the whole Martin, pretty much light jockey too, now they're distributing that, their focus has to go on that. And distributing Compushow could be, I don't really think it's more of a conflict of interest as much as it is more of a, we can only focus our things or our talents on so many things at a time. I do believe they're still going to focus on emulation. They haven't said anything about that, and that's because, it is a Mac-friendly solution, and there's still a lot of people out there using emulation. So where could this, not really conflict of interest, but conflict of time come in? Well, it's the fact that with MPC, they're also distributing Light Jockey. Now, the difference is that Elation is not, like when they were distributing Hog, it's not that they are just distributing the MPC product. While the M still stands for Martin, to my knowledge and from what I understand, Elation now owns this. So they really, really want to make this investment take off. So two things really could have happened. They put Compushow on the back burner, or they let ADJ distribute it. So here's what's going on from ADJ side of things. They've got MyDMX, and MyDMX can do a lot. And it wasn't even really, the press release talked about needing more channels and all that. And I kind of disagree with that because, I know, right? I disagree with it because, well, MyDMX now supports ArtNet. And technically, depending on which DMX package you go with or Compushow package you already have, MyDMX can support more channels than Compushow because it can support a theoretical unlimited at $99 a universe. Whereas Compushow, if you have the SDE, it's 3 physical and 4 ArtNet. And you can buy additional boxes. So, I guess it all kind of winds up being the same. However, what MyDMX doesn't have that Compushow has is, I don't want to say features, but there's a lot of great features. You have your DMX merger, which is absolutely incredible. You have ArtNet in. You have a much more powerful, easy remote. The 3D on MyDMX is better for now. Obviously, that's eventually going to migrate. That's been no secret or anything like that. But Compushow's 3D has a few extra features, including some more CAD-friendly options, if that makes sense. And yeah, no, I know the M never stands for Martin, but, it's the inside joke because everybody kept asking, well, is it going to be called the EPC now for Elation? So no, for those who don't know, the M, James already pointed out, never stood for Martin. It stands for their OG console, the Maxis. So anyhow, today I want to talk to you guys a little bit and just kind of answer questions and kind of not really walk you through Compushow. I have it here in the background, but I kind of want to just show you some of the basic things. So when you look at some of the stuff that, we will be talking about and ADJ will be talking about. And when I say we, I mean mostly me because I'm the one that does all the tutorial series and that's who ADJ points to. Thank you for that, by the way, guys. You'll hear a lot of terms that get mix matched, especially in the lighting world, right? You've got pages, you've got you've got pages, you've got fixtures, you have scenes, switches, stacks, cues, and where Compushow is a little bit different than the rest is that they kind of do things their own way. There's a million different ways to do the same thing. If you are a linear thinking, aka if you use Hog or MA, this is going to drive you nuts. You'll be like, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? If you use Jans, well, in reality, you could use any software out there. I think you'll prefer that over Jans. But if you're used to like that timeline feature, you know how Jans works, you're going to love EasyShow. And if you're used to other softwares, whether it's MyDMX or competitor software such as Show Express, you are going to love Compushow. Now, first of all, if you have MyDMX, it's the same profile maker. So even though Compushow is Windows only, you can see that I'm running it on Parallels on my Mac. Even though it's Windows only, which I prefer it to be that way, you can still create your profiles on your Mac and then migrate them over. You can also use the same profiles from MyDMX. No, you cannot import a show from MyDMX, but if you do have a very complicated scene, you can record with Compushow. And that's not just from MyDMX, but any DMX software out there. And I have tons of videos on that, so I'm not going to get through some of the more advanced stuff, but that kind of gives you an idea there. Let me move this up. There we go. So anyhow, in the comment section, please go ahead and start writing down your comments or questions, or this is going to be a really fast live stream. So let's go through some of the basic terminology while we wait for some of the questions to come in. First of all, what are pages and what are fixtures? Before we go over that, I want to talk to you about the difference between Compushow and other software out there that their competitors or ADJ's competitors may have. It's a fixture-based, the other ones are fixture-based DMX software. Compushow is a patch-based DMX software. So what does that mean? On the other software that this other company distributes that I used to use, if I go and make a scene, even though there's the even though I have like a profile and all that and it shows, it's not really patching it to the fixture itself. It's programming the individual channels. So what happens is that if I move that fixture, if I have to readdress the fixture, you can't. With MyDMX, you know that if I program something and I need to readdress the fixture, no big deal. I can just move that fixture. Compushow works that same way. So basically, each one of these pages here, which is basically a light, a page consists of multiple fixtures. Let me show you here. We're going to open up the fixtures tab. Let's open up the pages right over here. Oh, and it's so much easier to move around to the MyDMX. My goodness, it's so much easier. I can see my master page, and there's my fixtures individually there. But if I go over here to like my InnoSpot Pros, there are 4 fixtures in that particular page. Now, in this page here, I can go ahead and set my order of my lights. I can go ahead and make programs, or I can have them all in the master page. The master page is essentially all of your, not really all of your scenes, but a scene or something you can make with all of your fixtures. Now with mine, I chose to have all of my floods in there. I've got my basic flood chases, and it doesn't matter what floods I have, as long as I click one of these buttons, it'll control all my floods. I also have, I kind of hit them here, but oops, nope, not this one. I also have what I call macros, which are placeholders for my MIDI-Con buttons to light up in different parts. I have different dimmers. So here's my dimmers for my QWH5s, my Tri-60s, dots. I use those versus the pages. I have a blackout button that I made. I made an all white that turns everything white and turns my moving heads, everything else off. I have shutter chases, strobe chases. I have presets, and these presets are, all this is triggered from my MIDI-Con, so I don't really need that to be seen. And what's cool is that you can pretty much make Compushow act any way that you want it to. It also uses virtual faders. So I'm going to pick on ADJ's, the 5P and the 12P and the 18 and all that. Fantastic fixture. I love it. I use it for several of my shows. It's got one fader on it. So what happens is you've got your RGB, amber, white, and UV, and one fader. See, one dimmer. So if I dim out that page, well, I'm dimming everything down. Well, that kind of sucks. Compushow understands this because there's several lights out there. This isn't just ADJ. This is almost every lighting manufacturer out there. So what I can do is I can fade down the entire page. Well, I don't want to fade down that entire page. So I can basically make a virtual fader that dims just the RGB channels. And there's multiple ways of doing that. For me, I chose to do what's called compression dim. See right here, these are all different chases of reds, chases of blues, greens, and or what color is that? Pink. My goodness. Well, when I click here and I dim down my MIDI-con, it doesn't dim that individual page of the 5Ps. It dims down that compression. So what that means is that while my 5P is all the way up, it can still dim that particular scene without dimming the main switch. There's also addition, subtraction, and different types of channel modes. And I don't want to go too much into that, but I'll give you an example. I had an event, or not event, an installation where they had like these older LED color bars, right? The ones with their individual LEDs. And I made some color chases. Well, two of them were a different type. It had RGB and amber, but the colors were slightly different. It was slightly more blue. So as you dim them, you would get more blue on that side. So I made a switch that had blue at, I think it was like almost 13 or 14 values higher than what everything else should be. Meaning if I took it down 14 values, then everything would be the same color. But then as I dimmed one, again, it's still bluer on the other. So I made a switch and I told it, always stay on. Do not mess with this. Do not change it. Don't do anything. Always stay on. And it was just blue, 14 values up. And then I told it to subtract that from anything in there. So now all the lights were the same color temperature. Really can't do that with MyDMX or certain other softwares out there. So I thought that was pretty dope. I also have one of the nightclubs that I have where they want the lights outdoors to turn on at a certain time every single day. Well, I could make I have, MIDI programs. I can make a MIDI program where it just sends a note out. But why would I do that when I can just do this? Let's say it's this particular scene that I want to do, right? I'm going to go into my settings. Now watch, this is pretty dope. I'm going to go into my time, and I can tell it when to turn them on and even when to turn them off, which is pretty damn cool. You could even go into your trigger options and not trigger. I'm sorry. Where is it? Oh, I know it's on time. Oh, I got to find it here. Sorry. It's been a while since I've been on this one here. Oh, I know, because my box isn't hooked up. Sorry. So I can even, if you have like the SDE box, you can even trigger it on standalone mode depending on the time of day as far as your sunrise and sunset. So with that nightclub, I have it. So as soon as it's set to, as soon as the sun sets, bam, lights go on. And I guess it's using one of those atomic calendar apps to get it from, which is pretty dope. Compushow also has a very basic media server built in, nothing extensive, but you can play media files. You can also do your trigger either with a keyboard or the little ports in the back, very similar to what MyDMX has, at least the original box that it had. Sorry, gotta go back over here and close this part. So that's one of the really cool things that I do like about it. The other thing is the overall programming options. Let's go over here. Let's go into my NSPOP Pro. It's a fantastic moving head right there. We're just going to go to move that over here. Bam. All right. And let's go into this program that I've made right here. So we'll go into our settings. We're going to, oops, not settings. Sorry, I'm clicking the wrong thing here. We're going to go into our edit. Now, on MyDMX, once you make if you use like the show editor or anything like that, once you actually render a program, you can't go back and edit. In Compushow, you can. So you go into what's called your Easy Edit. Oh, crap. I have the wrong one open. Boy, good thing I do this for a living, y'all. There. There we go. So I can go back over here and I can edit it. There's some sort of crazy junk pattern that I made on there. Just wanted it to kind of curve like this, and that's essentially what it looked like there. So it allows me to re-edit something if I need to, and I can change the phasing right then and there. I can just remake it. I can move things around. Definitely a lot easier than MyDMX in that sense. So while Compushow is going to be advertised as a program for the more advanced user. I really think that if you are a beginner user, you may like Compushow better just in the fact that it's much easier to program than on MyDMX. You also have over here, let's take a look at the editing window, right? That's basic view. We don't want basic view. We want the advanced view. So you can see your fixtures windows here if you want to grab something individually. You have your channels window. You've got your presets. You've got your palettes. I'll go over palettes in just a second. Very different than MyDMX palettes. You've got your DMX input. Oh, what's DMX input? Well, right here, you can see I can do DMX where I can record in case I want to record a show from another software or another board, or I can temporarily override a show with another DMX console. Why would you want to do that? Watch the videos. There's tons of reasons why you'd want to do that. And then there's Follow Spot. Oh, Follow Spot is dope. If you guys are familiar with the Follow Me system can patch into a more advanced board such as Grand MA. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to take multiple moving heads and calibrate them so as you move them with a joystick, they hit the same point at the same time, giving you the potential of a 360-degree follow spot where the person that you're trying to spot is covered from all the angles. And when that person or the joystick operator, whoever's controlling it, moves out of the area, that particular light would just shut off versus blinding somebody in the audience. Well, Compushow has that built in. You don't need to rent some expensive system or anything like that. And you can mix and match different types of moving heads. That is built in. Dope. You also have your palettes. So let me show you what palettes are. Let's go ahead and close out of here for just a moment. We're going to go into our other windows and go into palettes. And really, guys, no questions? Come on. Y'all can do better than that. Ask questions, post them below. Hey. Okay, so here are the palettes. Palettes are basically shortcuts, right? So, for example, let's say you're doing a show and the director says, listen, you need to have this exact shade of blue. And you have like 30 programs you need done. So if you mess up, you're going to have to sit there and reprogram everything of blue you have done. That sucks. So what you could do is, in that sense, hang on one second, sorry. What you would be able to do in that sense is you wouldn't program blue. You would program palette blue, whatever you want to call it. And then as you go and you program, you instead of blue, you select your palette blue. And let's say it's just color 2, right? So there you go. So now instead of that blue, let's say that blue is wrong. And he's like, I don't like that blue. You need to make it more, green color, green tinted. Okay, now I'm going to go over here. And as soon as I save that and get out, all those programs that are referencing that color 2 automatically choose that color blue. But now palette editors allow you to have blind editing. This is so great for busking. So dope. I've been asking for this for a long time. So when a developer put it on, I was like, yay, I wet my pants. Essentially what blind palettes allow you to do is that when I go here, this output overrides Compushow's output. Pretend this is a whole different DMX software. This output overwrites everything. So now I've colored to all of my floods. Doesn't matter what kind, because this is this is just a generic palette, what we call generic palette list. It's going to overwrite every flood, so all my floods are blue. As soon as I shut this off, the DMX output no longer happens. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, because some of the shows, we're just going to do some color chases and do some cool stuff, with the clubs. And of course, Windows froze. Are you kidding me right now? Not Compushow, Windows entirely froze. Anyhow, if, for example, I wanted to do a color chase and I didn't want to have to sit here and program 30 or 40 different types of color chases, I can just go into my palette editor, choose color 1, color 2, and then I choose my chase that goes between the two colors, and bam, it's right there. Now, if I go to color 1 and choose a different color, and then go back to color 2, that color is instantly updated. So instead of you having to make 40, 50, 60 different kinds of chases, you make one. And then you can control it directly from Compushow. Again, pretty dope. Let me restart this because Windows absolutely sucks. A couple of questions I know that came in. Thoughts on MPC. Again, I am keeping this Compushow only, so please don't ask me about any other softwares or anything like that. This is strictly Compushow. Appreciate that. Easy Remote. If you are familiar with MyDMX and their Easy Remote software, which is phenomenal, Compushow is a little bit more advanced. You can do a lot more with it. As a matter of fact, oh my goodness, freaking Windows, man. As a matter of fact, I have one of my nightclubs. They have the SDE box, which has 3 universes out, and then ArtNet. And we have one, they have like 2 other dance floors that don't really have a lighting tech specifically. They just have some basic made scenes. Instead of needing to have 3 or 4 DMX softwares, we just have Compushow downstairs. The LD runs that. And then the master page, setting it on always, what we call always takes priority, those control the upstairs shows, and they are triggered from Easy Remote. And you can just go back and forth on the Easy Remote. Whoopsie. You can go back and forth on Easy Remote and access your different stuff, which I'm a huge fan of for that. Let's see here. Let's go into the next part here that I like. Console, again, very similar to MyDMX, except it has a lot more console features. The two-way MIDI is phenomenal on Compushow. It does support the encoders. It does support motorized faders. It does support two-way color feedback as well, so you can select different colors with your different lights. So, for example, if you have like one of the launch pads and they have the different colors on there, you can go in there and you don't select the colors. You have to select your DMX values, or your MIDI values. But then you can do that for either on or off. Really easy to create flash buttons in Compushow too, and you can spam the hell out of these buttons without them crashing on you. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's go back to the ADJ, the business side of things. And that is, what happens to MyDMX? Are they getting rid of MyDMX? Like, well, I'm telling you that if you have never used DMX before, Compushow is an easy software to jump into as long as you're willing to watch the tutorials. And that's really with any particular video or software out there, watch the tutorials if they exist, read the manual. And Compushow is a well-written manual. It is currently outdated, not because James has been slacking, but in the last couple releases alone, a lot of extra features and things have been added, mostly because certain people, myself, keep bugging the developer for. ArtNet In was one of them. So even though I'm saying that, ADJ is not going to get rid of MyDMX. Now, I'll be honest with you. I asked, I'm like, so can you guys not use MyDMX anymore? Or are we just going to focus on Compushow? Do I need to delete the groups? And Alfred basically said, no, we have a huge, the user base for MyDMX is huge. So no time in the near future are they going to get rid of MyDMX and leave all their users in the dark. That's not going to happen. So you don't have to worry about that. As a matter of fact, their user base is the reason why they're still keeping MyDMX out there, even though pretty much everything that Compushow or MyDMX can do, Compushow can do. They still want to leave that there because there are people that enjoy MyDMX and they don't want to leave them out in the dark. But it also doesn't mean that you're stuck with MyDMX. If you have anything after the MyDMX 2.5 box, it can run Compushow. When you go to the store, the DMX soft store, whatever, you can add your additional universes, or you can add 3D or MIDI to MyDMX. You will be able to upgrade. You can even try out Compushow. As a matter of fact, James will still be supporting Compushow, I believe. He'll let us know in just a moment. But he can get you set up with like a 30-day trial on Compushow using your MyDMX box. So, dope. And I don't mean just regular MyDMX 3 box or the new rack mount one, the RM. I also mean with MyDMX Buddy. As a matter of fact, I have a MyDMX Buddy that I've upgraded to Compushow and has 8 ArtNet channels on it. This dongle is more powerful than most people's freaking entire board. So it's pretty dope. So let's go over some of the questions that just came in. First of all, Mike Caparasso asks, can I use ADJ DMX operator with Compushow? Yes. I stutter on that because I love the DMX operator. If it's the MIDI one, there are a lot of buttons that are not MIDI capable that are supposed to be, but that's the factory just kind of slipping the one over there. It's a hybrid board and the faders all work, but there's no two-way button feedback. So when you turn the buttons with the lights in the board go up and on and off, just put tape over them because that's going to confuse the living hell out of you. If you're talking about DMX operator that is not MIDI, yes, you can. Let me show you how that works. So basically, let's say I have my MIDICon Pro over here. You would just launch on your console, whatever. You would just right-click and you can or load any board, excuse me. But then instead of mapping it to a MIDI, you would just map it to a DMX data, and you would have your universe assigned and then your channel. And if you don't know what channel that is, you can have it where it automatically reads your DMX values. But in reality, it's pretty easy. If you have a board, fader is 1, well, then you know it's fader, or, or excuse me, DMX channel 1. So yeah, you can definitely use your DMX operator or any other DMX board to trigger your faders, not necessarily to trigger your buttons, depending on the signal that board will eventually pull out. James says there will be a different manual for Compushow once Compus starts shipping next month. James, is it an updated manual as far as adding some of the new features since you last wrote it, or what's the deal with that one? Christos, I believe that's how you say it, ask Elation MIDICon $200 is okay. I don't know where you're finding it for $200, but take it and run, because you're ripping it. You're ripping somebody off, or you're stealing it out of a truck. So go for it. I can't. He also says I can't find any contact form for Fixture Creator for Compushow emulation software. Compushow is not emulation, my friend. Those are two totally different softwares. But either way, you'd want to talk to Jingles. James, if you can please put your contact information in the chat. So Christos, I believe that's how you say it, can help you out. So let's get out of here for just a moment. All right, so let's go into the next part of my where Compushow exceeds over MyDMX especially, and that is where is it? EasyShow. EasyShow is awesome. It allows you to basically create a timeline. You can drop in an MP3, you can drop in a video file. Windows, what the hell did you just do? You guys see that, right? Like, it literally just went. I have no idea what just happened there, but okay. So anyways, you can drag and drop video. You can drag and drop audio. You can take, for example, let's say I want to go over here, right? My fast show of these beams that I made, and I want to drag it. Come on. It's going to freeze up on me because I'm recording the content here. Why are you not? Okay, you are making me angry. It's not letting me drag it. It's because I'm doing this live. It's exactly why. It's giving me, hold on a second. It's parallels on my other monitor. Okay, apparently I'm low on memory. Yeah, see, it goes and tries to drag it in, and it immediately cuts me off, but whatever. So basically, you can import it manually, or you can control and right-click, and then it just stops for God knows what reason. Anyways, point being is you can drag and drop your scenes, and then you can drag and drop your scenes to here and have it play however you want as far as queuing on, off. You can do fades. And I use this especially for my beauty pageant that I do every year. It's just incredibly easy. If you need something even easier than this, you also have what's called your cycles. So if I go into my cycle window here, I can literally just hit record, and I can start clicking scenes on, off, and it kind of records, and it makes almost a timeline type thing, but it's not always as accurate as a timeline. You can't play videos or audio unless you make a scene that has audio and video. It essentially works the same for the most part, and then you can also trigger it, but it allows you to create macros. If you are a standalone guy, meaning it's just a one-man show, and maybe you just want to create just some scenes and just quickly have them play, 5 minutes of one scene, 5 minutes from the next, you would create that using your cycles. Makes it a lot easier. And James is laughing right now because I'm telling you, every time that we do something live, just Windows gives me some sort of crap. And that was it right there. Let's see here. So, Hawaii, Marvin asks, aloha. So will there be more developments with Compushow? There are going to be lots. I cannot tell you about it. But what I can tell you is that within the near future, there's not really going to be many reasons to look at other softwares out there. I know what they're doing. James knows what they're doing. And we're really excited about the projects that are coming out. And I think that now that ADJ has taken over distribution, they have, I don't want to say they have a wider customer base than Elation, because I don't know who's is bigger than the other or anything like that. But I think Elation's customer base is looking more for the console. They're not the PC people, right? And if they are, they usually are using something like Light Jockey. And that's why the whole NPC thing really made sense. But I think ADJ's customer base is going to jump more on Compushow than Elation's would. And with that in mind, I think that's going to create a higher customer demand, which is going to put fire under the developer to give us more and more features. And that is why I definitely recommend going and joining that group above. And yeah, if you're not sure, stick with MyDMX, but you can upgrade to Compushow. Let's see here real quick. Compushow for Mac would be really nice. It would. But you don't want it to be. And here's why. I know I say this as a Mac guy. And it's kind of like, oh, Airstream should be out for Android. No. You see, there's only one or two developers working on the software, right? As far as the core features. And if you have multiple operating systems, now they're having to write code and compile for not just now one OS, but multiple OSs, because Windows users are a little bit more varied and not as up-to-date as Mac users. So now you need to have a 32-bit version. If they don't make a 32-bit version, the people bitch that there's not a 32-bit version. So now you got to have a 32-bit and a 64-bit version for Windows 10 and Windows 7 or whatever. And then you have your Mac and all that. It's like, okay, now if you ask for one feature, it's not going to be released until it's compiled on, 3 or 4 different software combinations. Just even if we brought it down to 2 softwares, which is Windows and Mac, you're still going to have to wait a bit of time to be able to get a feature, because now it's on 2 different softwares. And it kind of works the same way with the whole Airstream. I'm going to go quickly into Airstream. Oh, well, you should develop for Android. No, please stop asking that. My goodness, it takes long enough for Apple to approve a damn update. Now we gotta wait for Android to approve the update too. No. One OS means faster features. And I run Compushow on a Mac, and when I'm not doing a screen record, it works flawlessly. It's the moment I'm doing a screen record that my Mac goes, it's gonna die. And it's not really my Mac as much as it is everything else. So no, don't ask for it on a Mac, please, because one day they're like, well, okay, well, let's give it a try. And I'm like, no. So unless they say, oh, well, we're going to have another team just for the Mac. But then if you remember why MyDMX was so great on one software or one operating system and not so great on the Mac, okay, well, it's kind of like that. You're taking the same great talent and breaking it up into 2 different systems. Or if you have other DJ software out there, non-ADJ related, and you wonder why the Mac version or the Windows version sucks, it was a whole different development team that's having to compile and debug everything. So, Mike, yes, Windows 10 is only 64-bit, but Windows 7 isn't, Windows XP isn't, and I can run Compushow on Windows XP. So, and you may say, well, you should stick with the times, and I agree, until you have a freaking Windows update coming up right in the middle of your show, like, I should have stuck with Windows XP. And I'm downgrading all of Windows 10 into Windows XP. So, but yes, Mike, you are right. Windows 10 is 64-bit. I was mostly referring to Windows 7 and XP. Let's see here. James said hush fool. What am I hushing about? Dude, you gotta like at least text me what I'm supposed to be hushing about. Okay, Eric Cabral asked a great question. What are the differences with the dongles? Let's talk about the Compushow dongles first. First of all, if you have a MyDMX 3 or the RM or Buddy, they can run Compushow. Okay? Ask in a group. We'll get you set up. ADJ, that's the big advantage now of ADJ owning and distributing Compushow, is that now there's a much more clear upgrade path. And there was a means still with Elation, but I think it's going to be a little bit more obvious, and there's gonna be more features that's going to be able to be offered that way. So you've got 3 boxes. You have your basic, you've got Q, and you've got SDE. Basic is just that. It's basic. You have your one universe out, one universe E, and then, E. And you have your basic 3D, non-advanced features. Like, I can't, hold on one second. Oh, that's lovely. My wife just texted me. kind of have to do this. My wife is texting me. Hold on. Sorry about that. So anyways, you have your basic 3D. So you have your 3D, and then you have your like diagram, like wire diagram. You can't just grab something on the 3D and move in a 3D environment on basic. You also don't have EasyShow on the basic, but you do have cycles. So before you're like, oh, I don't like it, doesn't have a timeline on it, don't freak out because the cycle program is pretty good, honestly. Unless you're doing really time coded shows, because it does work on time code, you don't necessarily need the basic for that. Um, but anyways, I just got James's message about what I'm supposed to be hushing about. I'm not mentioning that yet. I'm just saying there are some very big features coming out. I mean, that's not a secret. We've been saying that for a long time. And some of the features I'm more excited about than other people. And that's because I do more advanced shows. But I think Compushow is going to allow you to do those advanced shows. Marvin, let me give you an example of that. And I'll go back to the dongles in just a second. DMX in. Let's say you have a bunch of like the pocket Z4s, right? And you want to run them on CleanNet. You can't. Unless you use now the CleanNet merger. But if you have, let's say, for example, a hex light or anything like that, it's not necessarily easy to go out ArtNet into Arceus. So I feed Arceus into Compushow, so I can now have my moving heads going with the colors on my CleanNet output, which is pretty damn dope. So yeah, there's a few features there that I absolutely love. I love the ArtNet in, especially if you're going to use capture. I love the live palette option. It's incredible for busking. I think Compushow is going to be one of your best busking softwares out there. I honestly do stand by that. It's either Compushow or MA, really, as far as busking. I don't know if Avolites has the merger built in. I know the Hog doesn't. Screw Jans Vista. But as far as busking, Compushow is definitely it. And I say screw Jans Vista because I don't think it has any of those kind of features still on there anymore. So let's go back. So you've got your basic box, pretty affordable. It's almost like a MyDMX 3 box in that same sense. Now, then your next level up is your Compushow, what you would call the CompuQ. And hang on one second here. Sorry, I just had a couple more questions pop in. Okay, so anyways, your Compu Basic, you've got the one DMX network. On CompuQ, you have two DMX outputs. You have the input, which can double as a second universe output. You'll need a gender changer for that. And you also have two universes of ArtNet built in. It also has a teeny tiny bit of standalone memory. Now let's go. Oh, and does it have? No, it does not. I have to call this out of memory. It does not have the MIDI on it yet. Then you have SDE, and SDE is awesome. So SDE gives you 3 physical, 4 ArtNet. It has your MIDI timecode. You have your advanced 3D options. It's got an SD card for more memory space, but you can use it without a computer. So, yes, all of them have standalone, okay? Meaning that you can go in there and you just click the little up and down buttons. If you got like 30 or 40 scenes, that's going to be awful. Just click. So imagine this. You design an easy remote, like what you do on MyDMX or on Compushow, right? You design your easy remote on DMX. You load the easy remote into your SDE box. Your SDE has a Cat5 out. That Cat5 out is not for ArtNet. You still use your computer's port. That is to hook it up to a router so you can use it as a standalone box and use your iPad with the standalone scenes that you can stack directly from your iOS or Android device without a computer needed. How dope is that? The other thing that you can also do with it is if let's say your box is way on the other side and you don't want to run 100 feet of DMX cable, and let's say you're using all 3 not ArtNet, all 3 outputs out of the box, and you're going to have to run, let's say, 100, 300 feet of DMX cable. You don't want to do that. So instead of using USB, you can actually connect to the box using a Cat5 cable only. Theoretically, you can do it wirelessly. I've done it. It works. I don't recommend it. That's all, because all it takes is one glitch and whoop, your show's gone. So use Cat5 obviously a lot more reliable. It can definitely be done. Let's see here. Eric Cabral asks, I have a DMX 3.0 box. If it is possible, what would the process be for setting up a Compushow? Do me a favor, Eric. Go ahead and join the Compushow group. It's on the chat above. And James, can we get Eric set up with the instructions on how to run the Compushow trial on his box, please? James also says they do not officially recommend using WinXP anymore, and there's a few reasons for that. I'm gonna say try it anyways. No, I'm gonna do it anyways. But I'm an advanced user. If you're a beginning user and something screws up and they can't figure it out, they are gonna tell you need to get out of XP so we can figure it out, because technically it's not supported on XP. It can run. It does run. You shouldn't have any issues. But when you do, XP is gonna be the first thing anybody would say you need to go past, so we can make sure that's not the issue. Let's see here. Oh, Axel Rogers joined us. Thank you for joining. He says, oh, yay, stream. Been using Elation Compu Live since 2008. Oh, man, Axel, you're one of the OGs. Bro, if you're on Compu Live, you need to jump on Compushow. It's got so many more features than Compu Live. It's also better looking, too. So essentially, I mean, that is it in a nutshell. Let's go ahead. Oh, wait, no, there's more in SDE. You've got your PC clock triggering, what I showed you earlier. You've got your EasyShow. You've got your network control. You've got 2D setup views. You've got report management. Oh, let me show you report management. Let me see if I can do it without my box hooked up. So we're going to go into print. Let's go into the patch. We can do an Excel. I'll just do the print preview so you can get an idea. There it is there. It will show you all of your lights, the DMX values that they're supposed to be on, and your XY limiting or no. Sorry. Woo! Okay, so my phone just cut the thing off there. Okay, so you may ask, Arnaldo, what is XY limiting? I'll show you. It's cool. It's awesome. It's magical. But we'll go over that in just a moment. So it can give you pretty much a list of all your lights in your show and the DMX addresses they have to be on. You can also do the same thing with your console. And if we go over here, there it is there. It pretty much tells you each button and what it is triggering. So it gives you the date of the show and everything else. So it's pretty cool the way that works out. Now let's go over pan and tilt limiting. This is something that Compushow does better than most DMX softwares, honestly. Let's go into our our patch settings. Okay, I'm almost done. And let's say we don't want the lights to hit every portion of the dance floor. This is actually something my wife took it to a whole different level. Funny enough that she walks in. Okay, so we're going to go over here. And we can now limit the moving heads to only hit a certain area. And you can see that we can invert X and Y, but we can also swap X and Y. So if you have to hang the moving head sideways and X is now Y and Y is now X, you can now switch it around. But there's more than just that, because sometimes I have a show where I limit and then I realize, crap, I need it to be a little bit wider than I set it to, but if I make it too wide, then this show doesn't look right. So I make it to be the widest that I possibly would want it to be, and then I can go into my individual scenes and change the size. This is what my wife uses the heck out of. So we have this movement pattern here of, like, for example, the circles going up and down, right? And we'll go over the little knobs in a second. She can actually go here, double click it, and there's the show as the size is. If she wants it to be a little bit bigger, she can make it big, make the swoop bigger, the area that it covers. And if she wants it to be smaller, then she can shrink down the size that it covers. But check this out. You can actually cover these or change these values for each individual scene. Notice that the tab changes, right? So there's a scene, it changes the speed, the dimmer, the phase, and the sizing, or I can control it for the entire page in general. If you want to preview stuff, you can even add the knobs to each individual one. So I can go here and I can tell it to show faders for dimmer, speed, phasing, and size, or I can even preset them. I can just right click here. I can set my show. Let's say I want my speed to be here, and then as soon as I click it, bam, it's good to go. Or I can even program a what we call activate button on my MIDI-Con, so I can select two different buttons here, and then when I hit OK, bam, it clicks everything through. Again, great for busking. And you can even set fade options so you can fade a scene from one scene to the other or a switch from one switch to the other. So what's a scene and a switch? Compushow makes this much easier than MyDMX and much easier than Show Express and everything else out there, honestly. What it does is you've got scenes. Scenes are not stackable. It's literally just that, a scene. Switches are modifiers to the scene. They are both essentially the exact same thing, except it's there for organized purposes. For me, when we're doing a school dance or something like that, I just have the basic shows that they can just click that and it's good to go. And then they can modify it with different colors and they can stack them on top of each other and you are good, right? And notice you can only play one at a time. Why can you play one at a time? Because Compushow sees that these switches all cover the same DMX channels. So to prevent you from having to shut one off and turn one on, it does that automatically. You can shut it off, but why would you want to? You can also organize things by doing what's called compressions. See here, this little tab, it's called, there's a shutter tab here. These are all my switches for the shutter channel, and I can make a compression however way I want. I have compressions of colors, compressions of movement, even amongst different lights. And then all these things are called zones. And I can move my zones around. I can make zones appear, disappear. I can move them in different areas. I can make them where you can click and have them go up and appear on a stack. There's just so many different options when it comes to that. Let's go ahead and finish the last couple of questions and then we'll log off. Eric asked, does it have native mappings for MIDI controllers or do you set manually? James already answered. It does have both. With the MIDICon, I use the native mapping for programming because it's awesome. And then I delete the mapping for the actual show and I map it all on my own. But it does have native mappings for most controllers. I heavily recommend just mapping your own. It makes it a lot easier. Let's see if there's any questions. I guess that's pretty much it anyways because I'm about to hit an hour anyway. Sorry about some of the combobulated confusion earlier. I was just having issues with the OBS and Windows for some reason wanting to lock up on me. But it looks like we are good. It looks like we are good to go. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, a couple of things. Make sure you go to gearitfirst.com. Go to tutorials, click on Compushow, and it's going to give you everything you could possibly imagine. There's like 50, 60, 70, I have no idea, 70 plus videos of how to use the software. It's going to start you from the very beginning. And I have multiple videos of the same thing now because that's something that I made a while back. Then I made some newer ones. It shows you like 4 or 5 different ways to make scenes. There's so many different ways. One of my favorite ways is that I can just sit here. Let's say I have all these different switches. I can click it and then click OK and save it into a show and I'm done. If you've never used Compushow before, you don't have time to program, no big deal. When you buy your lights, let me give you an example here. Let's go into my Focus Spot 3Zs. Okay. Other than here where it says slow, medium, and everything else, most of these buttons were already made ahead of time. I just put them into zones. Oops, that's the InnoSpot Pro. Crap. Hold on. There we go. Like that didn't look right. So other than these right here, all of these already came with the fixture. So what happens is you buy a fixture, you import into Compushow, and you can use it right then and there. So, I just bought my Focus Spot 3Z. I'm going to turn on my movement. I'm going to turn on my shutter, select a color, and the gobo, and I'm done. That's a little too fast. So I'm going to right-click on the gobo, and notice that tab changed to the name of the scene, and I'm going to slow it down just a little bit. And that's it. Done. So makes it much, much easier. And then, of course, you have, oh my goodness, you have your fixture group options here where you can just grab a couple of fixtures and control just that live. You've got your merge options. Oh my gosh, there's so much. This can be the easiest and the most complicated software at the same time, but I'm telling you, this can do a lot more than you'll ever need it to. So, my name is Arnaldo Offerman. Any questions, comments like that, please leave them below. Go join the group, the Compushow user support group on Facebook. And hey, leave a message to ADJ and tell them that you saw this live stream and how much you guys loved it so they can see that you guys watch my stuff. So anyhow, guys, thank you so much. Have a great evening, good night, and God bless.